Hey YouTube, it's Kier. As I think I've mentioned before, on my Facebook I have, hold on a second, let me just get this a little closer, there we go. I have friends on Facebook of all different backgrounds, faiths, beliefs, you know, what have you. I'm not the kind of person who surrounds myself only with people who think like me, because that's fucking boring. Like, who wants to only be around people that agree with you? Where's the fun in that? But there is this trend that is so obvious and blatant and there, and it's a fucking trend that I honestly don't understand where this came from. And this is not a new thing. This has been going on pretty much since the 40s and 50s. I don't understand how this misconception got started, given the fact that in this day and age, we all, most of us anyway, here in America, have the internet, which means we have access to unlimited information. Of course, you know, not all of it's legit. You gotta be critical in the way that you look at things and see if it's fact or opinion. But I mean, this shit is quite accessible. Anybody can get online, read the Constitution, read how the Constitution came to be, what the Founding Fathers believed in, that sort of thing, and see that this is simply not true. The misconception that I am speaking of pertains to America being a Christian nation. America is not, and has never been, according to our Founding Fathers and the Constitution, a Christian nation, or any other religious nation. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. I damn sure I'm not trying to sound like a know-it-all. I just happen to be a history buff who does not trust the government, and therefore I've read the Constitution repeatedly, because how can you stand up for your rights when you don't know what they are? So, I mean, I'm not, you know, trying to come off as an asshole. I'm really not. It's just that this fucking drives me insane, because, again, you can get online and do research and find out the truth on this. And this goes back to a discussion I was having, I think I had it with Cheryl. I'm not sure, Cheryl, if I'm wrong, please correct me, because I'm sure you'll watch this. About how there seems to be another trend going on where people try to pass off their opinion as fact, and they kind of mix up opinion and fact. Opinion is, you know, the beliefs that you have about something that cannot be proven via fact. Fact is fact. You can have an opinion about a fact, but it does not change the fact. You dig? I don't know if that fucking sounded right at all, but I think you know what I'm trying to say here. So, you know, you can look at the Constitution and you can see separation of church and state, and the fact that we all have religious freedom, and you can see that America was very much founded on a secular belief system where we do not have an official religion. We never have, and we never will, because it's fucking unconstitutional. Try all you want, the Supreme Court will have to strike it down because it's unconstitutional, period. A lot of our rights and amendments and things like that were originally put into the Constitution, this kind of came about because of England, and the fact that England had an official religion, and nobody was allowed to believe anything but what the Church of England said, you know. And our Founding Fathers were trying to break away from that sort of shit. Just like we have the right to bear arms because of the fact that in England and the colonies, when they were under English rule, it was illegal to have guns. And our Founding Fathers were like, no, that's not happening. We don't agree with that. One, how can you hunt? Two, if you basically need to overthrow the government, how can you do that? Because, you know, this was a time when the revolutionaries were trying to overthrow the current government and create a new one. And being disarmed does not really help with that. Freedom of speech, we have that because of the censorship in England. Freedom of assembly, we have that because they were not allowed to protest in England. These were things they could be arrested for. And basically our Founding Fathers looked at what they saw were England's mistakes, and they wanted to make sure that America never fell into that trap. And, you know, we are a secular nation. We do not have an official religion. We were never a Christian nation, not since the time of the Puritans, which was 100 years before our founding fathers. Yes, the Puritans did draft a constitution where they, talked about how America was a divine providence and how it's ruled by God and all that. Our founding fathers and the country that became America, that was all tossed out. We do not have that. The whole "in God we trust" thing, that was never ever on our money until 1957. This was in the middle of the Cold War. I mean, if you look online, you will find different explanations for how the whole "in God we trust" thing got to be on the money. However, if you dig deep enough, you will discover that this was in the middle of McCarthyism and the whole, commies are bad and all of that shit. And communist nations do not have religion, and it was kind of a way to separate us from communism and to kind of make ourselves feel superior. That is why "in God we trust" was put on the money and became a motto and that sort of thing. Again, that was not something that the founding fathers had any say in. They had been dead for 200 years. Almost 200 years. So, yeah, we are not a Christian nation. And the fact that these politicians and some citizens want to try to rule my life by their religion is unconstitutional. It is not allowed. Period. It is not what our founding fathers wanted. Another myth that circulates around all this is that all of the founding fathers were extremely Christian. That's not true. At the time, Thomas Jefferson was considered secular. He was considered, not having a religion. Now we would probably call him agnostic because he did believe in a higher power. He just was not religious in any way, shape, or form. Ben Franklin actually believed very, very strongly in reincarnation. Now, I have read the Bible. If you can explain to me how somebody can believe strongly in reincarnation and be a Christian, please, I'd love to hear it, because there is no room in the Bible for that. And he was very much outspoken about the fact that he did not really believe in Christianity. Ben Franklin did not really hide his views on fucking much anything, really. You can also look up and find genuine quotes by our founding fathers concerning the fact that they believed that when a nation is ruled by a certain religion, it is doomed to fail. This was their belief, and it wasn't just one founding father or two founding fathers, it was the majority of them, if not all. I've seen quotes by Thomas Paine to this effect. I've seen quotes by Thomas Jefferson to this effect. I have seen quotes by Ben Franklin to this effect. I have seen quotes by, oh damn. Hold on. Brain fart. Come on, y'all knew it was coming. Okay, I'll probably remember dude's name in like 10 minutes. It's not Madison, maybe Adams. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. But at any rate, you can go online and you can find these quotes and you can see how the founding fathers felt about religion ruling a country. As far as things like the Ten Commandments being on State House grounds, that is unconstitutional. That violates the separation of church and state. Now, if there were symbols to represent every major religion, like, for instance, if the Wiccan reed was put up right beside there, that would be a little different. That's a representation of all religions. That is not saying, here is one religion, it is on the State House grounds, we are ruled by this. Because that is unconstitutional. And Satanists, I do not necessarily agree with Satanism whatsoever. I don't think that Satanists and witches really mix. They do call us fluffy bunnies quite often, and we do get annoyed by that. But I will say, in terms of turning the bullshit around on these far-right psychopaths who want to disregard what our nation was founded on, Satanists got this shit, man. They fucking erect statues to Baphomet. I may have pronounced that wrong. I probably did. They do the whole 9 yards, and I'm sorry, I think it's fucking hilarious. And Christians throw a fit. Just like they would throw a fit if we put, not all Christians, now, let's get that straight. I am not talking about all Christians. All Christians do not believe this is a Christian nation. They do not believe that their religion should be shoved down my throat and everybody else's. When I refer to Christians in this form, or in this way, I am talking about the far right psychos. I mean, people. Anyway, I'm sorry. But anyway, they don't want us represented in any way, shape, or form. They only want their religion represented, and that is unconstitutional. Just like having creationism in schools taught as curriculum, unconstitutional, violates separation of church and state. The reason prayer was taken out of school was because there was a, recited Christian prayer that all the kids had to say regardless of their religion. That violates the separation of church and state. And again, this is not difficult to figure out. Like, you can go, in fact, I'm going to put a link to the Constitution that you can, read online. You can read the whole thing. And I encourage you to do so. And I encourage you to go out on your own and explore this topic if you're interested in it, and maybe see how much of your belief system is based on myth instead of fact. Again, I'm not trying to dog anybody. It just drives me fucking nuts. Since 2010 especially, women have been persecuted, homosexuals have been persecuted, anybody who is not Christian has been persecuted because all these far-right motherfuckers are trying to run our states like the Bible dictates, and that is not legal. They want to sit there and they want to throw their religion in our faces and make laws against abortion, even though we have a constitutional right as women, regardless of why we want the abortion or anything like that, to a safe and healthy abortion. This is in the Constitution. Therefore, all of these laws limiting when a woman can get an abortion and how a woman can get an abortion and shutting down abortion clinics are fucking unconstitutional. I have no idea why the Supreme Court hasn't handled this yet. That drives me nuts, but I can't wait till they do, because it's spelled out in black and white. Like, this is not right. And again, I encourage everybody to read the Constitution, because you can't stand up for your rights if you're not sure of what they are. And I personally feel like everybody should know exactly the way that our government is ran in terms of whose job is what they are allowed to do, who, checks that and keeps the balance of power and things of this nature. These are things that I feel like all Americans should know, because the more you know, the more power you have. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm not trying to dog anybody's belief system. You believe what you want to believe. That's the entire point. Like, you have your belief system, and that is wonderful for you. But you do not get to tell me how to live my life based on your belief system. That is illegal. That is unconstitutional. That is not going to fly. Just like I cannot sit there and propose laws, say I became a fucking governor tomorrow. I could not run the state of Ohio based on Wiccan belief system. That is unconstitutional. Regardless of what religion is trying it, even if it is my own, even if we lived in an alternate universe where paganism was the supreme religion and we still had the same constitution, the same laws, I would fight like hell against it if pagans were sitting there trying to make their belief system law, because that is not allowed, period. So, yeah, I needed to get this off my chest, because I see so much of it every day. So many people who believe that we are a Christian nation, even though it is spelled out in black and white repeatedly in the Constitution and, in the quotes of our founding fathers. And, I mean, our Constitution itself is founded on the philosophies of people like John Locke, who was, he was very secular in how he felt the government should be ran. He was an Enlightenment philosopher. And it was also based on other philosophers of the Enlightenment period, none of which believed that religion should rule government whatsoever. And again, I'll put links in the bottom, in the description bar, to kind of get you started if you're interested in this and you're busy and you don't want to, search the shit for yourself. But I do encourage everybody to know the facts. Because, like I said, the more you know, the more power you have. So, sorry if I pissed anybody off. Sure, it's not the first time. Probably won't be the last. I don't mean any disrespect. I don't mean to come off as a bitch. It really frustrates the fuck out of me. I hope y'all have a beautiful week. And however many subscribers I still have when this video goes viral. And I hope y'all remember to smile.